All right, welcome to the Entrepreneur Insider Secrets podcast. Excited to be able to spend time with you again, working on your business. Wanted to talk about something today that is something that I have experienced a lot in my life, and that is about the process of detaching from outcomes, the process of removing yourself from the outcome of what's happening in your regular life. And as a result, being able to get off of the entrepreneur roller coaster. And some of this is something that I've experienced a lot in my life. I have gone down the path many times where I go and I pursue something. I have something that I'm working on, and I'm riding into this project, and man, it just went amazingly well. And I remember on multiple occasions saying to myself, wow, I'm really good at this. I'm really, this is my thing. This is what I'm really good at. Look how amazing I am. And then a few weeks later, we do it again and we do another thing, and it goes terribly. It goes very, very poorly. And all of a sudden, I'm sitting there going, what happened? I must be an idiot. I must be stupid. I must be completely incompetent because it failed and it didn't work at all. And all of a sudden you find yourself riding this roller coaster. You find yourself riding this entrepreneur roller coaster where you're going up and you're going down and you're going up and you're going down because you're tying your identity, you're tying your self-worth to the results of a specific thing. You're tying your results, your how you feel about yourself to a specific outcome of an event that you do not control, that you do not have absolute control over. And I see this all the time in other people. I see people who, have an opportunity to speak and they're trying to get to do a talk somewhere, and then it doesn't work out, and they're like, well, maybe I shouldn't even speak. Maybe this isn't for me. This didn't work out. It didn't go well. Or maybe they do get a chance to speak and the speech didn't go as well as they wanted, and they flubbed, and it did not meet their expectations. And then they're like, well, why? What's the point? Why am I not doing that? Why am I even doing this? Why am I even trying? Or maybe you're trying to market your business and you do a marketing presentation. You have people on and nobody ends up buying. And you're sitting there going, okay, you're like, what in the world? I guess I'm not good at this. I guess I can't do it. I guess I can't, I don't have what it takes. And what this does is it whipsaws you. It puts you in this place where you are just getting thrown around left and right because you're living on the individual outcomes of running a business. You're running on the individual outcomes of how things are going in your life. And it can be brutal. It can be absolutely brutal on your mental state. It can be absolutely brutal on your psyche, on your self-confidence, on your feelings of self-worth. It can destroy you. And this is something that I see a lot as well, especially with people when they first get started. I have an idea for a business. Great. And we talk it through and I help them get started. And then they post some stuff on social media. Well, nobody signed up. Okay. And then they quit because, well, I looked foolish. I didn't, I put it out there and then nobody did anything with it. And now I feel foolish. As a result, I'm done because I don't like the emotional roller coaster. I don't like the ups and the downs. I don't like those feelings. And here's the truth. No one does. No one likes to sit there and feel like they're getting whipsawed around. No one likes to sit there and feel like they're getting, thrown around like a rag doll, because it happens. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that today. How do you manage that? How do you work through that? How do you keep yourself sane when there's so many peaks and valleys, when there's so many ups and downs? We all have this image of when we start our business of, well, I'm going to start here and eventually within 5 years, I want the business to be here. And we have this image of a straight line. like starting point, end point. I'm going to go here, and then it's going to build, and eventually, in like 5 years, 3 years, whatever it may be, from now, I'll be at this level, and it'll be amazing. And in our mind, we see this straight line, and the reality is, it's not a straight line at all. It's a jagged line. It has ups and downs and ups and downs, and it may end at that place that you set out to target. It may end there. You very much may be ending at your goal, but I can promise you it will not be a straight line to get there. It is going to be lots of peaks and valleys, lots of moments where you have to do a gut check as to whether or not this is really for you and this is what you want to do. And lots of tests to your character, lots of tests to your mental state, lots of challenges to your own confidence in yourself. And those are the things that we're going to talk about today. And one of the things I want to first start with is really understanding the cost of the outcome when you attach yourself to the outcome. I want to talk about that. When you tie your identity, when you tie your confidence, when you tie your self-esteem to a specific outcome, it is very, very hard on you. And no matter what happens, because one of two things is going to happen. Either one, you're going to be successful and you're going to now think that you're better than what you actually are, or you're not going to be successful and you're going to think you're far worse than what you actually are. And this is the lesson that I had to learn so much, is that, when we would run marketing campaigns and we would have massive success, I would be like, man, I'm one of the best ones out there. I'm killing it. I'm destroying it. All these other people are now looking to me as to how I'm doing this amazing. And then we would have other times where it didn't go well, and I would be like, I'm an idiot. I can't do anything right. The truth is not either or, it's in the middle. The truth was, I was good at what I did. I did have a lot of talent. But when you go into these situations, you don't control the outcome. For example, if you're going to go give a speech somewhere and you're going to talk about something, and at the end you're going to present an offer for people to join something, for people to be a part of your business, to buy one of your programs, here's one of the things that I know. Your success at that level is largely dependent upon who is in the room. Because I have had many times where I've been in the room and I was talking to somebody and they're just like, David, just how do I get signed up? I don't need to hear anything else. How do I sign up? I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to do this. This is exactly what I want to do. This is exactly where I want to go. You've got exactly what I need. Bam, easiest sale of all time. Then you have other times where you're giving the exact same talk, but the people are staring at you like you're speaking another language. Like they don't understand a word that you're saying. And you're just looking at them going, okay, I didn't change the talk. I did not alter how I did this. I'm doing it the same way as I did before, but I'm getting a dramatically different result. And when you put your identity and you attach it to that individual outcome, you're whipsawing yourself. And you're in very big danger of knocking yourself out of the game. You're in very big danger of destroying yourself before you ever really even get started, because you're putting your identity on an outcome that is not fully in your control. When we do these things and we have opportunities to do these things, and sometimes, you can have opportunity to partner with somebody who has a thing where you can go and start teaching some of your stuff in the context of what their business already is. And you think this is a great opportunity. I have a chance to really do something here. I have a chance to really go and start to establish myself as a coach, as a trainer, as an instructor, and to be able to teach people things. And so there's already a business over here that lets me kind of slide in, and I can get some experience and I can make some money and I can do all these things. But what you don't control is what's going on in that business. If all of a sudden the business decides to go in a new direction, it starts to do things differently. It starts to make decisions that are very different and go in a completely different direction. And maybe they're decisions that don't even make you feel comfortable, or decisions that no longer fit you. And you could say, whoa, wait a minute, what happened? And this is the thing that we all have to keep in mind, and why we need to remove our self-worth, why we need to remove the value of who we are from the outcome of these individual events. Because one event does not determine whether or not you're good or bad. One event does not determine whether or not you will be successful or unsuccessful. It's one event. It's one attempt. Maybe you decided to, apply for a job at a company, and you go and you submit an application and you interview and you don't get the job. And you're like, what do you mean? I was perfect for that job. Thing is, you don't know all of the outcomes. You don't know all the other factors. And there may have been other things going on. They may have felt you were too good for the job. You're overqualified. Things like that happen. Or maybe the person on the other side just wasn't a good decision maker. You cannot underestimate the fact that sometimes people don't make good choices. They hire the wrong person. It happens all the time. So we have to learn how to we have to look at each opportunity, whatever it may be. If it's to market your business, if it's to speak somewhere, if it's to apply for a job, or maybe even you're just trying to make a new relationship in your life. You're trying to reach out to somebody new. You're trying to establish a new relationship in your life, and that person rejects you. And they're like, oh, okay. And all of a sudden you lose confidence in yourself and you start second guessing yourself. Well, you don't know what's going on with that other individual. There's factors in there that are out of your control. What we have to do is we have to detach ourselves from that. We have to say, okay, I'm going to make the attempt. And whether or not I succeed or fail doesn't really say a lot about me as a person. Now, what it may say is there are things I need to work on. And this is the second point I want to talk about. I want to talk about how we need to shift our focus away from our identity and the value of who we are, and we need to shift it to process. Because maybe you did give a speech and maybe it didn't go well. Okay, so let's not now say that you're a horrible speaker. Let's not take on the identity that you should never speak again. Let's take a look at your speech and go, okay, so where did things go off? Where did you not do well? Where did things start to fall apart? Okay, let's identify that. And let's just make some adjustments. Let's learn how can we improve? How can we get better the next time? And this happens to everyone. This is the thing that we all have to get it clear in our heads. We cannot look at the outcome and decide, well, that means it's not meant for me. And one of the things that drives me absolutely nuts over and over and over again is when I hear people say, well, I tried, and I guess it's not God's will for me that I do it because it didn't work. Are you sure? Are you sure that it's not God's will just simply because you tried once and it didn't work? Really? Or what, maybe it's God's will that you develop more mental, emotional, psychological toughness. Maybe you'd learn to develop a little thicker skin. Maybe you learn to develop some inner strength that wasn't there before by overcoming those challenges, by overcoming those problems, by becoming more resilient, by becoming more strong, by becoming someone who can manage things better than what you could before. These are all things that we need to consider. We can't just consider because something didn't go the way we wanted that it's a sign to stop trying, that it's a sign to walk away. Now, there are times when eventually you have to acknowledge that there are moments where you need to look away, but that's a bigger picture. That has to then go back to asking the question of, why are you doing this thing in the first place? And if that why really doesn't add up, if it really doesn't match, if it really doesn't fit and you're trying to do something that deep down inside, yeah, I'm not really supposed to be doing this. This doesn't really fit with my mission for my life or my vision for my life or what I really want to be, what I really want to do, where I really want to go. Okay, those are different questions. Those are different responses. Now we're looking at who we are as people and realizing I'm pursuing something that's not congruent with who I am as a human being. Okay, very different question than I do feel like I'm pursuing my dream. I do feel like I'm pursuing something I really want, and I just didn't have immediate success. These are things that we all have to grow through. I have had so many times at the gym where, again, as I've mentioned many times in the past, I use a personal trainer, and I do that for a very specific reason. I believe heavily in the value of coaching and training and having somebody who's better than you show you the way. Someone who is more skilled, more experienced, more knowledgeable than you, standing there with you to help guide you. Because not only are they going to show you the right way to do things and help you avoid a lot of potholes, they're going to hold you accountable for keeping going. They're not going to let you be a quitter. They're not going to let you walk away with the first sign of trouble. And so many times, when I would start something new at the gym and they would have me do a completely different exercise that I've never done before, and I would be horrible at it. Terrible. Absolutely rotten. And to the point where it's comical, because they would frequently pick things that they knew I would stink at. They're like, yeah, you need to get a lot better here, so we're going to make you do this. And you're going, are you kidding me? This is going to be awful. And they're like, yes, it is. It is. We know. I am well aware this is going to be awful, but we're going to do it anyway. I'm like, okay. So off we go. And you do it, and it is. It's a mess. It is terrible, terrible, terrible. And the whole time he's standing there going, all right, here's what you need to fix. Start, you're doing this, and then, your back is leaning forward. You need to get your back more straight. You need to get your posture like this. This is where you're going off. And he'd make me do it again and again and again. All we were focused on, it wasn't, do you stink or are you good? The only thing they were focused on was the process. Can we get your form right? Can we get you to do the right motion? Can we do the right movement? Okay, tweak it until I started getting better and I started improving and I started showing progress. And the joke was always, hey, your only goal is to suck less more often, which is kind of a crude way of saying improve. But it was more funny the other way. But this is where you need to have your focus on your own journey. You need to focus on process. You need to look at this and say, okay, maybe I didn't succeed. It doesn't mean this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing. It doesn't mean that I can't be successful here. It just means I have areas to grow. I have areas where I need to improve. Here's the truth. Nobody does it right the first time out of the gate. Nobody. I never met somebody who just walked straight out the very first time and was killing it right out of the gate. The people that I see succeed in this business are not the most talented. They are not the ones who have it all figured out and there's all this natural ability. The ones who I see succeed are the ones who have the grit. Because the people who have grit are the people who go, okay, that didn't work. What can I learn? How can I grow? How can I get better? How can I maintain my integrity and not, throw away everything and just try and cheat? No, I want to maintain my integrity because I still want to do this the right way with integrity in a way that I'm still going to be able to be proud of myself at the end of this, but I have to find the right way. I have to find. And, it's like somebody who is very shy and wants to be able to meet new people, wants to have more relationships, wants to have a better social life, but they're very shy. And you try to talk to them. Well, just go up there and say hi and go introduce yourself. Well, I don't know what to say. Say, hi, my name is. Yeah, but then what do I say after that? You see, we take it in on such an identity level that I'm going to feel stupid. They're not going to like me, or I don't know what to say. I don't have what it takes. The reality is you're never going to get there unless you try. None of us are going to have that confidence. None of us are going to have that certainty. None of us are going to have that feeling of, hey, I can do this, until we actually do it a few times. And it's like me at the gym. When I first started doing things, it was bad. And I had no confidence. And I was sitting there just praying that no one else in the gym was paying attention. Like, please just let everyone's eyes be looking everywhere else so nobody sees how dumb I look, how bad it is, how much I'm struggling over here. I don't want anybody watching because this is a mess. I mean, I look horrible over here. I'm just like a fish floundering on the beach. I'm not knowing at all what I'm doing. And then my trainer's laughing at me because I'm comical. I'm like going, great. Like, but we focused on the process. We focused on do it again, do it again, do it again. If you want to be a person who has friends, you have to talk to people. You have to meet people. You have to put yourself out there. If you want to be a person who gets stronger at the gym, you have to go to the gym and exercise. If you want to be a person who gets a job, you have to keep applying for jobs. You have to keep putting yourself out there. If you want to be a person who has a successful business, you have to keep marketing. You have to keep trying. You have to keep putting yourself out there until you find success. And then through all that, I want to talk about the last thing. I want to talk about building that emotional resilience, because that's what so much of this comes down to. When we can pull ourselves back, when we can pull our identity piece back from all these things, because it becomes very difficult. It becomes very embarrassing. It becomes very challenging to go out there and to put ourselves out there in a place where we haven't done something before and fail, and to be able to dust ourselves off and go, well, that was embarrassing, but I'm going to try again, and then fail again and be able to repeat it and again and again and again. And the reality is that's where most people fail. The reality is that's where most people fall short. When you hear that like 90% of small businesses fail, there's why. Because the vast majority of people give up too soon. The vast majority of people lack that emotional resilience. They lack the ability to hang in there, be focused on the process, be willing to humble themselves, and know that, hey, I'm going to look bad at this for a while, but I need to plan on that. I just need to accept the fact that I'm doing things that are brand new for me. I need to accept the fact that the work that I'm doing is something I've never attempted before. And especially when you start a small business, there are so many aspects to running a small business. There are so many avenues, so many things that need to be managed, so many things that need to be taken care of. It's a lot. And the truth is, no one's good at all of them. No one's good at the sales and the administration. No one's good at the marketing and all of the, customer service stuff. No one has it all. No one can build all the systems and do all the external people work. Those things, usually you're good at some of them. And you have to then figure out how to improve in the areas where you're not. Which means staying humble and staying persistent and learning from the process. When you make an attempt, and here's the key. When you make an attempt, for example, maybe you do a live training and you're marketing your business, and you have people show up, they're watching your live training, and then you make your offer and nobody bought. Okay. So what does that tell you? So if you were marketing your business and you did a live training and you had a good response and you had a good number of people and they stayed on for the presentation and they were listening and watching and being there, but no one ended up buying, what does that tell you? It tells you that the thing that you need to work on is your offer. That tells you that the thing you need to make your offer better. You need to make your offer more compelling. Maybe it needs to be more clear because you got the other parts down. You got people to show up. You got people who are listening, people who are attentive, but they just didn't buy. Okay. So when you look at the process, you can identify, okay, I did pretty well here. I did pretty well here. And that's where things went wrong. Okay. Now you know what to work on. You see, when you go through it from a process point of view, you're looking at it going, okay, I'm going to identify where I need to improve. And then I'm going to go back. I'm going to look at everything I've done. And I'm going to evaluate. Okay, that's where I need to improve right there. I need to get better right there. That's the area that I need to be able to show growth in. I need to figure out a way to make that better. All you're getting is feedback. You're getting amazing, amazing feedback, which is going to help show you exactly what it is there where you need to work, where you need to put your attention, where you need to put your time. And if you have the emotional resilience, if you have the intestinal fortitude, if you have the endurance and the grit to hang in there and keep going and keep learning and keep understanding, okay, now I'm better at this, but now I have another area where I have to get better. Okay, I have to improve over here now. Okay. It's feedback. What you're getting is feedback. And like I said, when I was at the gym, I had somebody standing there the whole time giving me feedback. Okay, David, you're leaning too far forward. Okay, David, your shoulders need to be back. Nope, get your hips right. Nope, get your back straight. And it was getting constant feedback and constant improvement. And now, later on, that trainer moved on. He moved to a different area, and I started working with a different trainer. And that trainer looked at me and said, David, you have the best form of anyone I've seen. I'm like, wow. Because I was so focused on the process. I stayed on it. And I went from a person with terrible form to now really good form. And I went from a person that was ashamed to be in the gym to having people come up to me and say, David, you're doing amazing. Look at how much weight you can lift now. Look at all the things you could do. Look at how much progress. I had people being jealous of me. Did I start there? Not even close. Spent years toiling away, looking foolish. I spent years messing up and making mistakes, having my trainer just stand there patiently say, nope, do this. Nope, that's off. Now fix this. Now get that right. Now get this right. Until you learn it, because repetition builds competence. Competence builds confidence. The more you're willing to do it, the more attempts you're willing to make, the more effort you're willing to put in, the more rounds that you're willing to go, the better your chances of success are. So that requires the emotional resilience. That requires that you are willing to hang in there and not take the individual losses personally, not let the individual wins overinflate your ego. It's going to require that you view them as feedback. Okay, what did I do well? Where can I improve? This isn't about me as a good or bad person, as a skilled or unskilled person. Doesn't mean I have talent or don't have talent. Get yourself off that roller coaster. Instead, look at it and say, hey, this is what I can learn from this. And sometimes when eventually what happens is you're going to get so good at this because you're going to keep refining, you're going to keep perfecting things. You're going to get so good at it that somebody's going to look at you and go, wow, you're like a master at this. Why? Because you did it again and again. You didn't let the negative feedback take you down or the positive feedback overinflate your ego. You just kept going and going and going until you became a master at the skill. It is, at the end of the day, being successful in business, it's not as complicated as you would like to think it is. So many people out there try to turn it into this massively complex thing. And so much of it is a willingness to learn, a willingness to serve others, and a good amount of resilience to not give up and to let yourself continually get feedback, continuing to learn, continuing to grow, continuing to mature, and to build skill, and to not take the losses personal. So I hope you take that to heart. I hope you learn not to over give too much credence to the wins and the losses individually. Because if you can do that, and if you can just keep growing, you can just keep improving, you can just keep moving yourself forward inch by inch and not worrying about the individual wins and losses, it's only a matter of time before you're a winner. It's only a matter of time before you're succeeding, because you're going to keep going and improving and growing and improving and growing. The more you do that, you're going to get there. You are absolutely going to get there. You're absolutely going to win. So that's what I got for you today. I hope you found this encouraging. I hope you found this inspirational and helpful. If wherever we can help you, we'd love to work with you and talk to you more about the business that you would like to build. So check out Design, Launch, Grow and learn more about what we do and what we're about. And if you're interested, fill out an application, because we'd love to talk to you. Otherwise, have an amazing day, and I will talk to you again very soon.